All right. Hi again, fourth graders. Today's lesson, 11.6, comparing fractions. It's really a fun lesson. I have my hat on because of the sun, but isn't it nice to be outside? I hope you can learn outside too. I hope you're doing something outside. Take a break, go play, then come back and work a little bit, and then go back out and play. That's kind of fun. That's it. That's our schedule right now, flexibility we have. All right, enough about that. I have my helper with me today.
Hello everyone.
My son Dawson. He's going to be helping me, probably figuring out things I forget to tell you. All right, let's start. So yesterday's lesson, just really quick recap, just to remind you, we were talking about fractions on a number line. Take off this hat. Even though it's shading me, I think it's creating too big of a shadow. So number lines, we talked about have beginning and end points, sort of. 0, 1. There are lots of different names for 1. 1 is just one whole of anything. So this number down here could be represented over denominator. The denominator can tell you a lot about this line. As you can see, there's one part to this whole thing. If I divided it in half, now we have 2 parts to this line. Okay, so 2 over 2 represents both of them. Here's one part, here's a second part. So that's kind of how it works. This middle is really easy, and it's going to be the same for a lot of fractions. It really represents a half of something. Notice my denominator again, 2. So this is one part of 2, and now we're down here with a completion of 2 2's. So really a quick review on number lines. I don't know where my sock went. Dawson, do you know where my sock is?
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm sitting on it. Sorry. So very quick recap of that benchmark fractions. Benchmark fractions are always going to be called a half. So I'm going to ask Dawson a few questions. So I'm going to create a couple of different fractions with all different denominators. And I want you to tell me the half of each one of those. Okay?
All right, I can do that.
Okay, we're going to start with 10. We're going to start with 6. I'll go over here to 8. I'll do 12. Okay.
All right, half of 10, I believe, is 5.
Correct.
All right, moving
Half
on
of
to 6. I believe that's 3.
Yes.
Pretty sure half of 8 is 4.
You haven't missed one yet.
Well, geez, lots of pressure on this last one. 12's a tricky one, but I think I'm gonna go with 6.
You're right. So these are all half. So if I were to do my famous...
Hold on. We got a jet over here.
Oh, man.
We're right in the path of the airport, so it's a little tricky. But he's moving away quite at a brisk pace. So,
Good.
all right, we're back.
So again, we're talking about things that equal 1/2. 1/2 is pretty simple to compare things to. So if we were using, like today, since we're comparing fractions, if we have, let's just come up with 2 simple ones. Let's go 1/2. Oops, let's make it a little bit more tricky than that. Let's go 1/3. It is also trash day. And let's go 2/3. Easy, right?
Right.
On a number line, this is going to be our denominator. So if we were to draw this out, pretty easy, with our 0 and our 1, we divide this line into thirds. This is our first third that we come across. This is our second third that we come across. And finally, when we get to the bottom, we've got 3/3. So,
On the 2/3, there's a line above the 2/3.
oh,
You don't want a fraction of a fraction.
No, that does not
That's until 8th grade.
So 2/3. So we have this first section. If we wanted to see what 1/3 looks like on it, well, there's 1/3. Now, since it has the same denominator, we add another third to it, and now we have 2/3. So we have this third plus this third. Is that big? Bigger? So I'm going to introduce to you my little friend called Jumpers. You know him. You've learned him for a long time, right? So this would read, this inequality, the term inequality, this inequality would read like this, fancy. 1/3 is less than 2/3. So we can see that on a number line that 2/3 is definitely bigger. So what happens though, in this lesson, we're going to come across things that might be equal and they might be different. So what happens if I have, not very in the middle, 5/10 on this side and 4/8 on this side. What did we just do? Assistant from the back, what do you know
Well-
about 5/10 and 4/8?
Well, seeing that 10 is a denominator,
Yes.
trying to find a half, the benchmark fraction of both of these, I would be looking for 5. And since 5 is half of 10, which means that is half right there. And then if I go over to the 8, half of 8 is 4, which means you have halves on both sides, which means those are equal fractions.
So, do I compare the numerators or the denominators?
Well, in this case, since the denominators are different, you
Yes.
have to work out some more math before you can just compare the numerators.
Correct. So, those are called equals. Let's do something a little bit harder. Let's go 7/10 and 2/5. Oh dear. This is sideways writing. Okay. Denominators are different. We've got 10 and we've got 5. Technically, they are 5 is a factor of 10, correct? But we're going to look at, you could have a number line, and I want you to envision this in your brain. Why don't you think about what half of 10 is?
Yeah,
You
let's
know
use
this?
the benchmark fraction
Okay.
of 1/2, which even monkeys can recognize.
Where'd you do that?
You told me that in
Oh.
4th grade.
Did I? Sorry. I'm glad you listened. Okay, well,
Sorry about that.
let's see if we can create a little number line to give us a visual. Half of this. Let's say we're working with the tens, right? So 10 over 10 is 1 whole. And oops, this is a 0 again. And then in the middle, we've got 5/10 because that equals half. Now technically we could divide this up into parts, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Worked out nice. So there's our benchmark in the middle. 7/10 is actually where, Dawson?
It's 2 ticks after the 5/10.
I like how you called that ticks. So now we are talking about, oh dear, 7/10 is actually right there. Up here, it's kind of a small board to be doing all this in. We'll start our 8s and our 5ths here. They're a little bit more difficult. So we have this, we need to divide into 5 parts. 1, 2, 3,
You got it.
4, is that right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not exactly even, but
Pretend
close
that they're
enough.
all equal.
So I'm going to pretend like they're all equal, then I would extend this and see if I can make it down there. So we've got 2/5. This is our second one. It is actually going to be, if I were to line these both up, it's a little less than 1/2, right? So in this case, how would we determine which one's bigger? 7/10 or 2/5?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you.
Oh.
Or
Well,
What
since
am
we
I
know
doing?
that 7/10 is bigger than half and 2/5 is less than half, must mean that 7/10 is going to be eaten by the
Yes,
chomper.
by chompers. And just as a reminder to you, this is called an inequality. And it would be read 7/10 is less, 7/10 is greater than 2/5. Today's lesson is just comparing different fractions. Use a number line if you need to. I'll try to upload one of those for you today. All right, bye for 5th graders, 4th graders. See
All
ya.
right, Mom.